On August 6th, 2025, and I've called to order this meeting of the St. Louis Police Board Commissioners. Mr. Gavillo, please make a roll call.
Commissioner Saraceno,
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins Gray,
Aye.
Commissioner Ortega,
Here.
Commissioner McVeigh,
Here.
Commissioner Brown,
Here.
Mayor Spencer.
Present. I don't know if it matters, but my Zoom isn't working for if we're 3 minutes.
Dave's gonna jump on it and get it fixed.
If you're able to, please stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. All right. Next item on our agenda is approval of July 17th, 2025 minutes. Our first item. Has everybody had a chance to look through those? Yes.
I make a motion then.
Yeah.
That we approve the minutes from the July 17th meeting.
I'll second.
Second. Okay. Let's move to a second to approve the minutes as written. Is there any correction or is there any discussion? No discussion? I'll call for a vote for it.
All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All those against, say nay.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Passes 5-0.
Okay, we have one unfinished business from that previous meeting. The election of the treasurer. Mr. Grill, we tabled this item at our last meeting following discussion about this role being unidentified or
Yeah.
undefined.
Yes, I think Mayor Spencer was the one that pointed this out with regards to, we didn't have the bylaws for the treasurer. I think as we kind of worked on this agenda moving forward, I think that was a well taken point. I am asking for a motion to postpone the appointment of the treasurer because as you will see in the bylaws, we set up a budget, finance and audit committee. I'd like to get that committee set up first and so we can kind of back into that position a little bit because there's a lot of professional staff that typically or traditionally would have been handled by the treasurer. So in defining that role, I think it's maybe the budget and finance will define that role. Committee, I think, will define that role more clearly. So I'm just asking that that be postponed or tabled until the September 6th meeting for consideration for an appointment.
Good. I motion to table it.
I second.
Moving pretty good for here. Very good. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Motion to elect the treasurer to the board September meeting, correct? That's what we're looking to do for the September meeting, right? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that?
I call for a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, under new business, our first item for the new business is considering adoption of our bylaws, which have been drafted by the board's attorney, Mr. Gavillo. Since you drafted these bylaws, can you please give us the board information on the purpose of the bylaws and the summary of the content?
Absolutely. I think this was an item that originally came up at the last meeting with regards to what we're going to do for the bylaws. I can tell you this is kind of a Frankenstein of what Kansas City had, but also some of the traditional historic items that were on the city of St. Louis bylaws is really where this came out of. As you guys will see, we did a copy edit of it one more time. And there's a red line version that is in front of your desk that are just typographical or grammatical changes to it, nothing substantive whatsoever, clarification of language. The reason that we tried to hold true to the board's intent as much as possible to work off Kansas City of St. Louis and kind of hybrid those together. Some of that language was maybe a little bit older, a little bit outdated. And so we tried to clean those up without making any substantive changes. Just kind of generally about the bylaws, they're more like Kansas City as far as a modern bylaw instead of Rule 1 under the prior city state control. Because I think it's a little bit more correct, if you will, or a little bit more correct for a bylaw. The bylaws will be the basic operating laws of this board. I think just a couple of important highlights. This does set up the standing committees. The Labor Management Committee sets up the, as I stated earlier, the Budget, Finance and Audit Committee, and the basically the Legal Committee, the Claims Committee. Those committees are things we believe right now. Those are things that need to be immediately addressed, as this transition takes place. We need to get those committees in place so we can start working on Rule 7, we can start evaluating the cases, the civil cases that were taken over from the city of St. Louis. And we've worked great with the city councilors on that. I can answer any of the questions in the bylaws if anybody has any questions, but I think you can see they're pretty simple. They're not overly complicated. I can go through the red line. I will represent everybody here that they are purely, minor grammatical changes. None of them are substantive, but we wanted to make sure that we had the cleanest version possible that we brought here today.
Thank you, Chris. We're gonna go move, or is there?
I think the mayor has questions.
I have some questions. about-
Sure.
And if you don't mind, just a few points of clarification on this, just as far as a few things, the compensation of board members.
Set by statute.
Is that, it's my understanding that a state statute indicates or specifies that the commissioners are paid $1,000 a year.
Correct.
Is this something to be paid by the city, the state? I mean, I know it's a small amount of money, but who's essentially funding the board at this point?
It will come out of the budget, the police department budget. That's something that after the bylaws are adopted, I'll work with the budget director, Dave Daniels, on, but that will come out of the budget. It's $1,000 per state statute a year, and then it's payable monthly.
Okay. I think that's helpful. The meeting locations, I know we're meeting here. The bylaws state that we need to be meeting within the state of Missouri. I'd like to move that we meet within the city of St. Louis.
We can make that correction. What page is that on, Mayor?
Believe that is
Right.
Article 4, Section 1.
Mhm.
That's fine. We can make that adjustment if that's okay with you all. I don't, Nate or Jennifer, you don't see any issues with that, correct?
What's the language within the city limits of this?
Well, so what we will say where it says, this was from, I think this was from the city or Kansas City's bylaws where we copied it out of, but what we'll basically say, all meetings of the board shall be held at such place within the city, we'll just, Nate or Tim, if you're making that adjustment, within the city of St. Louis. And we probably need to add in the state of Missouri. Yeah, we can make that. We'll make that change. They're making it right now.
Thank you.
Any other discussions?
I have a question
Yes, ma'am.
concerning, under operations concerning timeline, for disciplinary matters. And whether or not we should consider, including some type of timeline.
Here is what I would ask
Okay,
about the timeline on disciplinary matters. We are required by state statute for the chief to make a recommend on discipline within 90 days.
okay,
Any issues about or ambiguity about the police officer bill of rights was corrected or was clarified by the General Assembly when they said you shall follow the police officer bill of rights. What I would suggest is my intention is to have a meeting in the next couple of weeks with Internal Affairs to talk about that timeline and how that kind of works out and kind of look at where they are in the timeline, because it's
mhm,
black and white. It's a 90-day timeline for that investigation to be completed and the chief to make the recommendation. What I would suggest is, I don't know if that needs to be baked into the bylaws. It probably will be something that will be added to Rule 7
Okay.
that I think the Labor Management Committee will work on, because we have to abide by that, or else any action taken in violation of that 90 days is void. So it's a great point, Commissioner Jenkins Gray, and we're on it, but I think it,
Okay,
we'll put it in Rule 7, and I think you're gonna end up being involved in that at some point too.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
A couple other little, points of clarification. On the removal of officers, just, there's no process here. I think we should maybe specify if there's gonna be a vote or some mechanism, what the mechanism is to remove officers in the event that we need to change. Even if it's just to change them, how we would go about doing that.
So here is what I would suggest with regards to that, Mayor, is obviously nobody wants an officer to be removed. I think there is it's set by statute. We've mirrored the statutory language, and that's what we've tried to do is incorporate the statutory powers and responsibilities. I think it's a good idea to have a policy on removal of officers, but it's probably a pretty lengthy policy because you're gonna have to get into, this is a contested case, you have the right to an attorney there, you have a right to a court reporter. So maybe what I would suggest is instead of baking that into the bylaws, we do that by a separate policy, and we can do that. But I think it's gonna be a 5 or 6 page policy might swallow up the bylaws. So when we bring that policy forward, we can also amend the bylaws to add a reference to that policy as well. But I think it's a great idea because the last thing you want is where you have to remove an officer and you gotta adopt your rules right before the meeting. It
I
doesn't
don't
look
get-
good.
There shouldn't be any ambiguity about how you
Absolutely.
do it at the time when you need it. On the committee side of things, I'd like to recommend that, as far as the city is gonna be, on the hook, so to speak, for the budget, essentially. And so I think it might be, I would like to recommend that the mayor, the person in charge of the city's budget, maybe participate, be a required component of the budget committee.
Let me talk about the committees real quick, because how the committees work is any board member can attend any committee meeting. What we wanted to do was basically create liaisons for internal staff to report up to the committee, and that person then give a report, that commissioner give a report. So I think that's up to the board. You know, there may be some battles between this board and the city with regards to budget. That's not materialized in any way, shape, or form, just, you know, with some of the ambiguity in the statutes. And I've talked to city councilor about that, and we've agreed to, like, let's try to work through these. I would prefer, my thought would be, we get the committee established, and then that person more than likely, you know, will at least be relevant in the treasurer discussion. My position would be, Mayor, is you could be the committee appointment if you wanted to be the committee appointment, but this is our internal budget committee so that staff has somebody to report to. I'm trying to make it the internal workings where the product is pushed up from the rank and file to the committee. But then that liaison then reports to the board, right? So you have kind of an internal structure. You can attend any single committee meeting on budget that you want, Mayor. But I think the structure of it, making it too big, can turn it into for lack of a better explanation, a political structure. And I think that might be something that the board would be more involved in than, say, rank and file, because this includes, you know, the budget director and whatnot and staff. So I would like maybe that next layer, the city gets involved or you attend. This is to try to get some connection between staff, department heads, and the board. So you can come to any committee, any board member can come to any committee. If we're gonna have a quorum there, we just need to know so we can post that committee meeting. And make it available to the public, but you know, to have a standing city person there for our internal budget process, I would prefer for staffs or from a staffing perspective, that this be something that is created and worked on internally and then brought to the city to work with them there. And you know, Mr. Daniels is here. And we've already talked about how we interface with the city and everything like that. So I think we'll take that into consideration. But I also think there's a lot of work we have to do. We have two budgets. We have a budget that was already set for us. And then we have a budget we have to prepare by February 1st. That's a lot of work internally that has to be done to look at the department. And so I'd like to keep that in that structure if we can. I think it'll work. I think it'll work well. And I think we have all these connections to the city that we'll be able to interface with them kind of post-committee or pre-committee.
I hear you. I think to also point out that the city also has a budget process that doesn't conform to those timelines and also has to be lockstep with this so that we can.
I've already
So-
met with Mr. Daniels a couple of times, and we already are putting a schedule together for the current budget and the next budget, which is due by February 1st, and also looking at the city's budget process, so we're not an obstacle to that. So we are already pre-planning budget for 25-26 right now. So, that's one of the things Mr. Daniels has said is that we've got to work within the city's budgetary process and not be an obstacle. So I think that's what is intended. I think we'll accomplish that to the best we can with the time we have. And absolutely, it's part of the equation and part of the consideration of what this timeline looks like.
But to address Mayor Spencer's concerns, she can be a part of all those committees.
She can attend every single one of
No
them.
decisions on budgets are being.
They're going to be
Committee
a
level.
liaison and a recommendation up to the board, and then a presentation by the liaison or the members of the board. I think we have so much to look at. We've got to break some of this down to committees and bring some of the staff up to then have direct contact with board members.
Right, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, so there was discussion on these bylaws. Questions, no further questions, discussions left? Any of the board members? Nothing?
I'll make a motion that we adopt the bylaws.
And I would ask that that motion include the red line, the most recent version, that's the corrected version.
With the correction.
Please, so it's based on the corrections that are provided here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Including the city of St. Louis.
Well, I think we'll see how that goes. The other thing I wanted to say too, Mayor, is I look at the bylaws as organic. We need to change the bylaws. Let's update them. Let's not set this in stone and put it in stone tablet. If this doesn't work, we'll correct it.
Just with the correction, I think that Don was speaking of the correction or the change of the location of. the
Yeah,
city
yeah,
center.
gotcha. Meeting in the city of St. Louis too.
I'll second it.
So we have a second.
Second.
Commissioner Brown.
And so
Thank you, Commissioner.
he's voting over.
Well, he can still
He can
make a
still-
motion. in a second.
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 So we have a second by Commissioner Brown, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Let's move to a vote.
We'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Jenkins Gray,
Aye.
Commissioner Ortega,
Aye.
Commissioner McVeigh,
Aye.
Commissioner Saraceno,
Aye.
Mayor Spencer.
Very good. All right, let's move on to the next agenda item, discussion of committee appointments. Bylaws, the board adopted have 3 standing committees to which we are able to appoint members from the board. We should discuss appointing a board member to each of these standing committees. And our first standing committee is Labor and Management Committee. Is there a motion to appoint one of the commissioners to the Labor and Management Committee? Labor Management Committee.
Don't everybody jump in.
Well, that's okay.
Can,
Go ahead.
can you share, what the responsibility is for,
So Labor and Management Committee is going to be a standing committee that I anticipate now, I don't make the decision, but I anticipate will take the first kind of swing around at Rule 7 and the revisions that need to be made. Will also probably be an item where there's discussions of the collective bargaining agreements, because I believe they're all expired. In addition to that, I think the Labor Management Committee will take any other special assignments either by the board or the president with regards to issues with regards to disputes between labor and management or general ideas between labor and management. For lack of a better word, I don't know exactly what they'll do. I know what their first immediate assignment is, and it's a pretty big bite.
So looking for a motion to appoint one of the commissioners to Labor and Management.
Make a motion that we appoint a commissioner to the Labor Management Committee.
And who would that be? What commissioner would be, Commissioner Ortega, would you? We need somebody to raise our hand.
Not all at once.
Yeah.
Does this also include the HR component, the labor, or what?
It could, but I think HR will be a standing member of this labor management. I believe that's right. Is that right? Correct, Jennifer? Who is on the labor management committee? Can you tell us, Jennifer?
One member of the board,
I do a lot.
The HR director.
Okay.
an employee who is a member of the recognized collective bargaining unit for lieutenants. An employee who is a member of the recognized collective bargaining unit for sergeants. An employee who is a member of the recognized collective bargaining unit for commissioned officers. And 2 members of the department to be appointed by the chief.
Can you volunteer?
Do you want to
I
volunteer?
volunteer.
Is there a motion to?
So we have Commissioner Gray that has agreed to be on the Labor and Management Committee. We have a motion.
And that,
So, we have a second? There's Commissioner.
That's fine. She can move.
She
You
can move.
technically can move to
Okay.
put yourself on stuff at this
Okay.
stage. It's not a conflict.
Okay,
These are just internal committees. I call them statutory committees you create yourself.
yes.
I don't know if there's any further
So there's a
discussion.
second by Commissioner Ortega, correct?
Yes.
All right. Move to the second. Is there any further discussion? Or if none, we'll move to a vote. Roll call vote. Do I see any discussions or questions?
I think we can just do this by voice vote if that's okay.
Voice vote, yes, Mr. Graville.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say nay. So 5-0, Commissioner Jenkins Gray is appointed to the Labor and Management Committee.
Again. Mr. Graville, just so we have, if you have, so we're gonna move to litigation committee. If you have any additional information with regarding to these committees, could you please share them?
Absolutely. I will go through and give an idea and a little bit of background, no problem.
We're gonna move to litigation committee, please, update.
So the litigation committee is a committee that, frankly, there is a lot of litigation management that is kind of underneath the surface. We're working with the internal unit, with the city councilor's office and the attorney general's office. A lot of cooks in the kitchen. I think the point of this litigation committee is so there is one entry point and one exit point to make recommendations on cases, to bring information back with regards to civil lawsuits. I think the last estimation I got from the attorney general is we inherited 75 civil lawsuits. So as you can imagine, that's probably 20 different attorney generals, 15 different outside counsels, the city of St. Louis, city councilor's office and whatnot. So we wanted one point of contact. And as you can see, we've added the attorney general as a non-voting ex officio. So essentially, we can have an attorney general representative when we're evaluating cases and whatnot for settlement. I'm on that. The budget director's on that because a lot of this is very important that budget is part of it. I've signed Dave up for 2 committees, Mr. Daniels. The chief of police is on it and some assistant attorney general is an ex officio member, just so that we can get all this. I keep talking about it as we can bundle all the sticks, evaluate the sticks, look at what it looks like budget wise, look what we're spending money on, and then make recommendations to this board succinctly and quickly, because if we don't have this committee, it's going to be a little bit of a fire drill every single meeting.
So sorry, I give a question. So the question of the purpose of the AG would be to provide additional legal counsel.
Well, additional legal counsel, but they are our civil lawyers, right, by state statute. So we should be getting case evaluations from them, recommendations with regards to, are we going to take this case to trial? Or are we going to try to settle the case and whatnot? So it is really, really important that they are active. There's some historical significance to this as well with regards to making sure we're getting recommendations. This is a state office. They can have a lot of turnover. It really is. Ultimately, I'm accountable to manage litigation. I have to make the people that are doing the work accountable to me so I can be accountable to you all on
And that is a process that was in previous,
it. It was a previous process and we're trying to create a process. And this is something I've worked with the Attorney General's office on how to do this in a way that we can be diligent on the civil liabilities of the police department.
Nominate Brad Ortega.
we have a nomination, Brian, entertain a second.
Second.
Second, who's getting a second?
I think Commissioner Gray came out a little
Thank you.
quicker.
Quicker, all right, very good, thank
It's
you.
a little quicker on the draw.
All right, so we have a second. Is there any further discussion with regards to the litigation committee person? Call for a voice vote on the motion. to-
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say nay. That appointment is made 5-0.
Very good, thank you. All right, well, we're moving to number 3, Budget, Finance and Audit Committee. Again, please update.
Budget finance, and obviously budget is a big theme here. We have 2 budgets to look at. I've talked with a lot of people about the board becoming budget fluent, city budget fluent, police department budget fluent, to understand the system that we have to put in place and the system we have to work on. This committee will, the Budget, Finance and Audit Committee, will, and part of this is City of Kansas City gets an audit every year annually. We've talked about that I've talked to some of the commissioners about an outside audit at some point. And putting that in place like Kansas City, that is mandated by state statute for Kansas City, but not mandated by the city of St. Louis, Police Department. So this is the idea that this is where we're going to start working on these 2 budgets, making recommendations. As you will see later in the agenda, I'll talk a little bit more about it. We will have a standing agenda item every single meeting on budget because we have 2 budgets to get to. We've got to figure this out. We've got to understand it. So if you all want to make changes, you all want to implement changes, you know how to do that and do it successfully and do it timely so we can get the information to the city of St. Louis. And those people that operate there, because I know that's something they're very nervous about is, I'll get into that in the budget part of it. But this includes the member of the board, the department budget director, which is Mr. Daniels, one employee of the department appointed by a recognized collective bargaining unit. So by, they will get together and make an appointment, and one employee of the department appointed by the chief of police.
It's my understanding that Commissioner Brown can be appointed.
Yes, he can.
So I nominate Commissioner
Can
Brown.
can I make a statement here? Do we not have anybody from the city's budget department?
No, because we've got to get, frankly, Mayor, we've got to get we've got to figure out how we're going to do this.
Okay.
Before we interface. Now, I wanted to tell you that I'm working with Paul Payne to have him come and speak and give us a preview, a background of what our budget
There's so
is.
many pieces here. We're gonna have to have somebody from the city. The machinations between the police department's budget and the city's budget are gonna be very complicated. And to have somebody from the city's budget division, I think it would be really impactful. And really important in figuring that piece out. So whether it's Mr. Payne or somebody from his office, my preference would be to have somebody from the city involved in that. Right now I know we have somebody from the police department, but we don't have anybody representing the city. And I just have great concerns about that. It's a very, very complicated, our budget process is pretty archaic in some ways, but very specific to the city of St. Louis, and meshing those 2 is going to be a tough thing to do. And I'd like to have somebody from the city there.
So I totally understand what you're saying. I don't think we're saying 2 separate things. And I may not be articulating this very well. Mr. Daniels has spoken to me about what timeline wise it looks like for us to meet these budget deadlines. He's got extensive experience preparing the PD budget. He's prepared the PD budget for years. I know there's a city component and there's an interface. I think we have a lot more work to do before we interface with the city about our budget. And this is a public entity separate from the city. This is the police department's budget. I understand there's an interface that's necessary and whatnot, but I would say that that would come a little bit later. And what I would say is we can always invite somebody, but to make them a standing member of the committee from the bylaws, I don't think that's necessary because I think the idea of this is to get the work done and interface with staff and start building processes internally before we begin the external integration processes, the external communication process. So frankly, I don't know that it would be appropriate to have a city of St. Louis employee on our own public entity committee, especially as a voting member, because it's not their budget. This is your all's budget, right? We have to figure out how to do it, figure out how to do the work. I've done a ton of different budgets, and you're right, the city of St. Louis budget is more complicated than anything I've ever seen, but I would recommend against it right now, at least in this first year, because we've got to figure out what it is. We've got a ton of experience in preparing budgets that are submitted to the city and understanding the process. Paul Payne has been very accommodating in even saying, hey, he's gonna try to come over at the September meeting and give a 30-minute presentation of the budget for budget fluency for the board. I would ask at this point, we not include a standing committee member for our own internal budget committee that's a employee of a different political entity. I understand there's that interface, but I just don't think we're ready for it now. That would be my ask.
I recognize that it would be a heavy lift from our budget division as far as the time commitment. But I am disappointed in this because I think at the end of the day, it's gonna be the city that has to pay the budget.
Right.
We have to pay what is being required. And, we have a very, very tight budget cycle every year. We're making cuts to departments to make our budget flush, to make it so that we are operational. So these are gonna be tough conversations and tough calls. And I'm gonna formally request that we include the budget department in making them aware of all the standing committee meetings. So that they can attend as time permits and to be helpful in making these decisions and understanding how these things work. I know that we have a longstanding relationship with the budget department here, but that's a relationship that exists historically. It would not necessarily be in that position moving forward. So I think we need to have a seamless relationship with the city's budget and budget process and department. Okay.
Madam Mayor, is it your request that they participate as non-voting members?
Well, that's what these
I
committees
mean, yeah, I
are,
mean,
but
but-
yes,
but you-
my suggestion was to have them be integrated into the committees. What I'm requesting at this point is that they be advised, alerted.
No problem.
And
Yes.
included in every the notifications of the meeting so that.
And
they can
invited
participate
if they want whatnot.
To move forward and be able to weigh in as needed.
Is Mr. Paul Payne with the city?
Yeah, he's the
Correct.
city budget director and
Okay, so that's who you've been talking to.
yeah, and we were trying to get him to come and present today to
Mhm.
give,
Mhm.
and he had a death in his family and I don't think it worked out well. And so we talked about the September meeting and I sent a formal request and Paul's gonna respond back to me on it. But I have no problem with that. I think a part of it is, Mayor Spencer's, we've got to figure this out first before we have, it's fluency, our fluency on our budget, getting committee fluent on the budget, and then what it's going to look like, and then fluent with regards to the city of St. Louis. And I think there is not a problem, Mayor, in my mind, having, the more, information is better, but I just want to make sure that we have a committee that is working on our budget.
And we have discussed that Mr. Payne be here. at
Yeah,
September,
I
if-
have,
if
but I-
time or a representative from the city.
Yeah, if time permits, yeah. So we can do that. That's not a problem. Where we can notify them, invite them, say, what information, give them information. Absolutely.
Very good. Okay, prior to conversations, discussions, was there going to be a motion?
I think there's a motion and a second already for Mr. Ortega. I think this was discussion. We're ready to call for a voice vote
This is a motion on what?
on the appointment of Mr. Ortega to the budget and finance.
So we've already
Not
done,
Brown,
we've
no,
already.
no.
Are
done
done.
our mega
I
deal
apologize.
litigation and-
Right.
yeah. On Mr. Brown, please
Yes.
forgive me, but, just there's been a lot of reports. I know, you are a provider of purchased items by the police department. And the appointment, your appointment to this committee, I think could cause some concern from the community as a result of that. It certainly could be viewed as being a conflict. So I object to your appointment to this committee for that, on behalf of, on that concern.
I don't think it's a conflict. I believe most.
I hear you. I'm saying,
Yeah,
I
understood.
certainly have
Appearance.
the appearance of that. And I want to voice that concern. I think it could reflect poorly on us as a board. Just given that.
My,
We'll be going through those
Can I-
issues.
Commissioner Brown, did you win those in an RFP process with the?
So, and this has been kind of not brought up much, but, year over year since the eighties, okay, since about about 85, 86, we've been supplying cars to the city of St. Louis. It's an open bid. We win the bid every year. There is a 3%. I think they're back in the day, there was a 3% override because we were in the city. We don't even use that override anymore. We win the bid. We sell between, I think this year it's 30 something. Last year it was 60 something. Last year we sold 1,100 fleet vehicles. Okay, this year we're going to be over 1,000. We do business in our shop. I have people that sit in the shop waiting for a call from the police garage. We go over and get the vehicles. We bring them back over. It's a service we do. We've always done because I appreciate the police department and all they've done. Again, it's an open bid every year. I will be glad to recuse myself when it comes to that. Believe me, I think I'm doing more of a service to the police department, especially in the service department. I sell them parts cheaper than I sell myself parts on my used cars. So yes, I do business with the city. I have for 40 years, since 1985. So, you know, I don't know what else to say there. I will be glad to recuse myself. It's a very, very small portion of my business. Again, I do a lot in my shop, but in doing that, I have people that go pick them up and bring them back. If we didn't have that and they went somewhere else to do that, they'd have to have employees driving them to service departments and waiting for them and picking them up. I do all that as a part of the service. That's not being charged to the city. That's just what I do because I appreciate all that they've done over the years and trying to keep the city safe. So.
I'll just say, I have no doubt, that, I mean, I think that, I think I rode in one of your vehicles on the way here today, and it was a great ride. And I know the service is a pretty good one. I don't mean to say anything otherwise. However, the budget committee is going to be determining how much we're spending on vehicles versus staff and a whole host of decisions that are going to impact, what the city is investing in our fleet and other things and making those decisions. And I think, regardless of the intent, and I can hear in your voice and feel that you're doing this out of service, but the appearance to the broader community as we move into this process, I think raises questions unnecessarily and could be perceived by the community as a conflict and it could be controversial. And for that reason, I think I am advising that we don't appoint you in that particular service, because in that committee, that is where the decision will be made on how much of the budget is going to be allocated towards that sort of the vehicle fleet, et cetera. And whether that's the official RFP, it certainly is directing how we are investing the police budget. So I have some concerns about how that appears to the public.
Councilor Graville, so Commissioner Brown's non-voting member for the rest of the commission, but the rest of the commission would still vote on every single budgetary approval item.
And I would say, you make a great point, Mayor, that there's actual conflicts and appearances. You know, I deal with it as a lawyer, the appearance of impropriety. I think it's a legitimate concern you've raised with regards to that issue. I've seen it in the paper, not a legitimate issue. I think it's a legitimate concern. What I would say is this, how I anticipate this will go down with the budget is the committee will work on the budget, learn the budget, and then educate the board on the budget. The budget will be, all budgetary decisions will be voted on and made by this board, not by the committee. They'll make recommendations on it, and frankly, a lot of the lead will be taken by Mr. Daniels because he has the experience doing this. I think it's really a matter of preference. Commissioner Brown, you have a right to be
Mr.
on it.
Gravel,
Yeah.
please, sorry, not
No,
to
all
interrupt
good.
you. I'm gonna step in here. I'm gonna address that. I'd like to remove, Commissioner Sonia Gray as the labor management. I think, Mr. Brown has a lot of expertise through what he's done through his business with regards to labor and management. I know with mechanics and different things. I think Mr. Brown would be a very good, Commissioner Brown, excuse me, Commissioner, would be an excellent addition to that, committee. And, we'll have another, election for the, budget and finance.
Okay, so is there a
Can
motion?
we, excuse me. Go
So
ahead.
you're looking to have a motion to remove Dr. Gray from her original appointment, opening that seat.
Correct.
So are we removing the motion on the floor to appoint
Well,
Mr. Brown?
I would go through that.
Yeah, you could.
So the motion to.
You could, you could vote the motion down if you want, or the original mover can ask to withdraw the motion.
We have
You
to
could
do
vote.
that first, but I
Yes.
have a recommendation because I do
Yeah.
believe Mr. Brown is
I-
very valued to our commission. Commissioner Brown, and I think his expertise would help us too. And then it would probably help us with the concern with Mayor Spencer. With the perception, and I don't disagree with, we don't need to bring extra. Heat.
Can I walk
We
us through
don't have to.
procedurally for that?
Please,
Okay, can we
if
have,
everybody on the board, so go ahead procedurally. please.
can we have a motion to, can we have a vote on the motion to appoint Commissioner Brown to the Budget Finance and Audit Committee, presuming everybody's gonna vote no? Can we have a voice vote? I call for a voice vote on that.
Yes.
Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Everybody opposed say nay.
Nay.
I mean, nay.
There you go. Okay, that's off the floor. That was voted down. Now, can I have a motion to replace Commissioner Sonia Jenkins Gray with Mr. Commissioner Brown on the Labor Management Committee? Well, can I have a motion and a second?
I'll make that
Motion.
Second,
Second.
any discussion on that? I'll call for a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, did you vote aye? Okay. I just didn't, I missed. All right, so that's 5-0. So now we're back to budget and finance with no appointment in front of you.
Correct. And then I'll move to make, to motion, Commissioner McVeigh on the Budget and Finance Audit Committee.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second
We'll move to discussion.
discussion?
And discussion.
Again, I think it's important to have a city representative in that committee. So it would be my preference to serve in that capacity. I recognize that's not the motion on the floor, but it gives me good pause to see a committee moving forward, without a city representative that represents the city's interests here. I know we have the police department and some other interests here, but I think it's important to have a representative of the city there. Again, recognizing that's not the motion on the floor, that would be my position on the matter.
So would you make a motion to?
So the motion is for McVeigh, and I'm speaking on that motion, having stated my preference to be the sitting committee member.
Mayor Spencer would.
I'm just logging that as
Yeah,
my
please.
Yeah.
See.
discussion.
So, yeah, so I mean, do you want to proceed to the voice vote on Commissioner McVeigh's appointment? Or is there any more discussion on it?
In clarity that Mayor Spencer would like to be on the Budget Committee, correct?
The motion is for McVeigh.
Okay.
I'm speaking on the motion,
During
logging
discussion,
my dissent of the motion in favor of my own appointment, but recognizing my appointment is on the floor.
Very good. Cool.
All those in favor say, for Commissioner McVeigh, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
No.
Do you want me to redo the vote? I don't think I got this.
Yeah.
Well, why don't I do a roll call vote? So Commissioner McVeigh, Commissioner Saraceno? Yes or no?
You're
For
voting
McVeigh or-
McVeigh as the budget committee.
It's funny there.
What's the
I
discussion?
thought, I thought we were putting, or we were moving sign there, but that's what I was getting from. I'm confused.
No, the only discussion was moving. So as our positions, we could sit on all those.
Oh, yeah. Everybody can.
And
sit on
everybody on
everything,
the
Mayor.
commission can
You
sit
can
on it.
attend any of the budget and finance committees. I understand you want to be a recommending body. Absolutely. And we do have the president, vice president role, which frankly takes more time in between the games or not the games, the meetings. I was trying to make a football analogy, and I failed at it. So I was just saying in between the lines, but that didn't make
Games
sense.
are a little more fun.
What?
No doubt.
Games are a little more fun.
They are a little more fun, sure. All right, so
Motion on the floor. is-
motion and a second. Any more discussion on Commissioner McVeigh's appointment to the Budget, Finance and Audit Committee?
Do we still have a treasurer's position that will be filled?
Yes. In the future,
And is
yes.
that an issue for me to be on, if by chance I end up being with have the treasurer's position,
It
is
is
there an
not.
issue for me? Okay.
It's not an
Yeah,
issue.
future committee.
So voice vote or roll call vote, President?
So we are on the roll call right now.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Let me reset the roll call vote. Commissioner Ortega. Aye. Commissioner McVeigh.
Aye.
Commissioner Spencer,
No.
or Mayor Spencer, sorry. No. Commissioner Saraceno,
No.
Commissioner Jenkins Gregg.
Aye.
So that passes with 3 votes.
Okay. All right. For Commissioner. Okay, correct.
Commissioner McVeigh, yes.
All right. Okay, so all the committee assignments have been delivered, right? So we're now moving to the next agenda item, which is the discussion of conflict of interest and financial disclosure policies. Would you like to have an explanation on that?
Sure, this is
Bill?
the conflict of interest policy that applies. I sent some correspondence out to you guys earlier in the month with regards to the need to file your financial disclosure statement as a member of the board for a state agency. This is frankly just straight out of state statute, what is required to be filed, the annual disclosure statements. I think some of you have already filed those. I think most of you have already filed those. But this is just a policy adopting what is required by state law.
Yes.
Point of clarification, is the conflict of interest record considered public record? I know we filed them with the Missouri Ethics Commission.
My understanding is not because it contains personal financial disclosure information. Right, you can't sunshine your financial disclosure information because it literally says everywhere you get income, real estate you own, and all those other things.
So then the conflict of interest is disclosed to whom?
To the state of Missouri.
And is there any oversight?
Well,
For what purpose? It's just a little bit confusing to me because
So every elected official that is a head of an agency for the state of Missouri is required to file an annual financial disclosure statement that if you look at the disclosure, it's pretty darn detailed. I have to do it because of my wife. And it basically says for you and your household, every income, every asset, everything you have that's filed with, I believe, the Missouri Ethics Commission. Is that correct, Nate? Missouri Ethics Commission? Yes, Missouri Ethics Commission. And it is not a public document. You can't sunshine the disclosure of the individual people. And then that is oversight and enforcement is through the Missouri Ethics Commission. And that's what we have to do as a state agency. That's the conflict of interest policy that the state mandates as our entity as a state agency.
It may be worth adding some clarification on that. It just wasn't clear to me. Is it?
What? The Missouri Ethics.
I mean, frankly, it's complicated the first time you look at the form. It's a lot of information.
I filed my disclosure.
Got it. Same policy. Nate was clarifying it because he helped us draft it. There is a conflict of interest that is a report to the board about conflicts of interest. And then also your state requirement that's in there.
It might be, it would be helpful to clarify that in some capacity.
Clarify it in the document
Or
clarify it to you. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. if you
clarify
want
to the public what's available to the public and what disclosures are gonna be a public record.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will.
Thank you. Yeah, just, I'm not clear on it,
Yeah.
and so I think, given that there have been some concerns about it, I think it'd be helpful to be very clear to the public about what our conflicts of interest policies are and what disclosures are made are public.
Got it.
Is the conflict of interest policy set by the Missouri Ethics Commission?
We have a policy, the conflict that is required for us to adopt by state statute. And then the disclosures is to the Missouri Ethics Commission. So they're all required by state statute.
That's from a financial
Correct.
standpoint.
And the conflict is out of state statute, correct, Nate, as well? Yes, it's all statutory. Because this is a state agency, this is what state, for example, the Attorney General's office has to do because they're a state agency. We are considered a state agency, same with Kansas City. And frankly, that's who we leaned into, was getting information from Kansas City and how they interpreted conflicts, what they implemented, and what they have in play.
If you haven't filed yet, you got a $10 a day fee.
Well, it's the thing that after that.
I think they're still, August 6th, I think they have 2 more days. I think is before because we go off the date they were sworn in. That was a clarification from the AG's office.
They charged me $50.
Yes.
I received it.
You received the $10 fine?
Was it?
That's my understanding.
You
I
did, you
received
should
it.
not. We can talk to the Attorney
I didn't
General's
know.
office.
I'm
about that.
okay, I've got $10.
That should happen.
So as the conflict of interest policy that is in our packet here, correct?
Correct.
That's where we are.
Yes,
Page 23.
So we need to move to make a motion to adopt the conflict of interest financial disclosure policy. Do we have a motion to do so?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a second, we have a motion by Commissioner Ortega, second by Commissioner Brown. Any other discussion regarding the conflict of interest disclosure policy?
No.
Seeing no other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner McVeigh,
Aye.
Mayor Spencer, Commissioner Ortega.
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins Gray,
Aye.
Commissioner Saraceno.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Very good, thank you. So our next item on our agenda is the budget board attorney.
So I'm not gonna really get into much details. I'd ask Mr. Daniels to stand up. Can you stand up, Mr. Daniels? This is the budget director for the City of St. Louis Police Department. I don't know if that's your official title. That's what I call you to everybody. I just wanted to introduce Mr. Daniels, as we've talked about individually with regards to, you can sit down, sorry. As we've talked about the importance of the budget and looking at the finances of the police department, getting a grip on that early, the fact that we have 2 budget cycles, that we're in a budget cycle that was prepared prior to this board being sworn in. And that is your 24-25 budget. Then we have 25-26 budgets. Originally, this was put on with the idea that we were going to try to get Paul Payne to come and give a little 30-45 minute presentation, maybe an hour, about kind of understanding the budget and the budget process with the City of St. Louis. I talked to Mr. Payne, he could not be here today, said he'd try to do that for the September meeting. This will be a standing agenda item. I anticipate we will have, even at the September meeting, Mr. Daniels maybe give some information about the budget, where we are with the budget. One of the things that I've talked with the commissioners about is budget impact. I know, and even to the mayor's point, it's not just the budget of this department, but how it affects the city of St. Louis as well. You all, the entire board has expressed concerns about that to make sure that that works cooperatively. I think the best thing to make that work and work well over the next year is to begin to talk about it. I talked about budget fluency for you all as a board, so you really understand the budget. You understand the importance of the budget. You understand, to the mayor's point, what she said about the city of St. Louis budget being very tight, being, need to be looked at very closely. That is identical and the same feelings that I have about the city's budget. And I know you are the police department's budget as well. So this will be a standing agenda item. We will hopefully have Paul Payne, but we will have information back for you with regards to the budget. Hopefully get the budget committee together at least one time before the next meeting, so we can kind of set up the reporting back to you all with regards to progress on current budget and future budgets.
Thank you. So just clarification, the budget is on every agenda.
Every agenda, the budget will be on.
Thank you. Can we move to the next item?
Yes.
So another agenda item on every agenda will be the chief's report. I'll ask Chief Tracy, please come forward and give us a report to the board. Thank you, Chief.
Good morning, Board of Commissioners, Transition Director, Mr. Bill and your team, and the public that's here today, and members of the department. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to report out some of the great work that we're doing in the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. When I say great work, men and women doing it along with the community, leveraging technology, using space policing, the CompStat methodology. And it's not just the commissioned police officers, but a lot of work that we get done is also by our civilian professional staff. And we're down in both of those. We're down in both of those. And I think it's something that's been happening. It's something that it's a challenge across the United States. And this challenge is not just St. Louis. This is a challenge we see regionally and across the United States. But with that, even with the challenges of the work that men and women, I say that both commissioned and civilian professional staff, we've been able to do more with less. And I've heard the mayor talk about that today, try to find ways we can get ourselves back up to the budget shrink. I hope we can do together with the board and moving forward in the way things are turning in the city and the way people are coming back into some profession. So where we stand today, when I first started in 2023, January 2023, I kind of take a look at the numbers of bringing the methodology, educating, implementing, executing, and then doing this model. What we need to do, this department has responded in a great way, because you bring in a new playbook, a kind of new system, not just call the same, but you have a different playbook, you have really good plays to go out and execute those plans. And where we are today, we are down 22% in murders. Now that's down from 100 where we were last year, 99, 2 years ago, 113, 3 years ago, 110. 4 years ago, and 159 from 2020. So that's a 50% reduction. And then you take a look at this, where these numbers are, 78, 76 at the end of July, is some of the lowest numbers in over a decade. Over a decade. So everybody talks about where were we? Oh, these pandemic numbers that we come down. No, these are pre-pandemic numbers. So we have progress. I think progress is a lot more work to do because our murder rate is still too high, although we're moving in the right direction. And sometimes I hear that this is a nationwide trend. I suggest the media, I suggest other people do homework in other regional police departments around. They're not following the same trend. They're actually going up since the pandemic. Yeah, they're the same size police departments. So we have a lot to take a look at, figure out a lot of successes we're having, progress. All crime categories, all this is on our website. We've been more transparent. We rebuilt our website. We have real-time crime with the crime view that the people need to take a look at. They can look at these things in real time to their block, geofence, go back 6 months, and make sure that was what they were demanding. And we make sure we have that little bit of technology that's been put in place. And then we have slmp.org/stats. The things that I'm talking about right here, you don't have to wait for the chief to report out. You can go take a look at it for yourselves. It's out there, and then we try to make sure that we do those things and get those things up in a timely manner so the public can see that, because they gotta be our partners in making sure we don't do crime. We're down at every crime category from this year versus last year. 22% I talked about with the homicides. Sexual assaults were down 40%, robbery were down 7%, aggravated assault were down 10%, burglary down 22%, felony theft we're down 12%, and auto theft we're down 29%, and 18% overall reduction. And going back to when we started, that's 39% reduction from 2022, coming in with these new methodologies, coming in and still policing. And I'd like to say, what value do you put on reducing crime? Well, there's studies out there. There's RAND studies, there's criminal justice studies of what you do with how to reduce crime, and you put a value on it. How do you put a value? These things are outputs that you're looking at. We'll get a look at outcomes. And there's studies out there that say for each murder prevented, it saves the city $5 million for each murder prevented. Each non-fatal shooting prevented, it's over $1 million. I can share those studies with different ones. They range from some of those up to 8 million down to 1 million. So 5 million, and it's out there. These are studies that are done by academics, criminal justice partners. And so when you start to talk about what it can save to the city, what it can bring back, the work that these officers are doing, and it's it's helping us move the city forward and actually save us money. Because you want to quantify how much these officers worked. Well, look at the savings from the work that they're doing right now. Put that in, if you can say since 2022, well, we're down half in murders. Well, let's just go just the 22 murders were down this year versus last year. Times that by 5 million. Times 100 less shooting incidents and shooting victims we have by 1 million. That's how you start to quantify the value of the police. We are down over 100 shooting incidents and 100 shooting victims from this time from last year. Where 90% of our homicides, murders are by gunshot. You have to go after the trigger pullers and make sure you're identifying who those individuals are with the highest propensity of violence to make sure that you reduce the murders, reduce the shootings, reduce the murders. And that's us leveraging all the technology we have in the Real-Time Crime Center, license plate readers, cameras, National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, Crime Gun Intelligence Center, intelligence officers running that information to get the information out to the field, to the officers in the fields, so they're not running around manually, but they're on directed patrols and where we need to go. Very important support staff can make us more efficient for the officers around the street. So sometimes you have to educate people while we have people not always on the street, because it's just as important to help people and out of the street. We gotta make sure we're answering calls for service. That's the number one thing our uniform officers have to do, to make sure they do that. When they are doing that, we gotta make sure we're answering in a timely manner. And then we have support units that make sure that we can back them up and make sure that they're going to identify our people, and that being tied to the radio. When I say tied to the radio, it's from calls for service. So we're wrong. We have to be able to attack that strategy. These things is progress. And I want to continue to see that progress. I talk about the challenge. The challenge is we need more resources. The challenge is because I've treated every unit. Some you can't, you gotta stay careful with some, because that's one of the most important things. We have a 78% homicide. 78% homicide. That's also builds trust. Because 8 out of 10 murders are being solved. Where the nationwide average is 50%. And it's been reported less than that. That means the public is trusting us to come forward. Because they're trusting us, the communities we're going to, and the things that we're doing, where we're trying to build that trust over the community meeting. And we see it resonating, great work by the detectives, leveraging the technology, but 78% is pretty good. It's actually better than the nationwide average. And then you talk about urban areas like ours, it's down on 30-40%. 30-40%. So I really commend our detectives and what they're doing to make sure that person doesn't go out and be a family and brings closure to the families. They built that trust. And we certainly have a circuit attorney now that is looking at every single case that we do, every rest of the year. It wasn't happening before. In my short time here, it wasn't happening for the first 6 months of the year. So I think that has to be put into some of the successes in our numbers, what criminal justice system is operating properly. And then we have to take a look at what the decision of the judges. We're monitoring that and we're having conversations with them. But getting back where I think the most critical critical issue throughout the nation. I talked to every police chief throughout the nation. Number one issue at every meeting we go to. How do we recruit and retain our officers? When I walked through this door, we were already down several hundred police officers. I knew that I took that challenge on. But I knew if we could get morale up, we can get pay up. And we could take a look at how we can be creative or put different systems in place. We can get more officers on the street and make sure that also health and wellness was there, and we weren't running them tired. And there's certain ways to do that. First was pay. One of the first things when I came in, with the administration that I came in with, we sat down. We were at an impasse for several years. I sat down with the union, sat down with the administration. We were able to get in early 2023, we were able to get one of the, from what I know, might be told, historically one of the best raises they've done. But it it raised us, but didn't make us still competitive. And then earlier this year, working with the Police Officers Association and the administration, an average of 7% raise on top of that. Still not competitive. Still not, we're being outpaid throughout the region. And that's hard to recruit police officers doing. But even with that, 37 officers that had left, retrained and went to other jurisdictions, I've sworn back in this 2 years. They're not coming back for the economics, it means morale started to come back. But they're not gonna come, the economics on their side. But how do we get past it? I think some of the challenges that I've seen when I've sat in these negotiations, where I'm neutral, but I certainly want to see my officers paid a fair rate. Because I'm held to standing, how are we gonna get crime down? And how are we gonna get more officers and how are we gonna retain them? I saw some issues there, and I think we as a board and we as a police department and working with the city, there's a thing called parity, that when the police officers went and negotiated, fire department didn't have to negotiate, they just waited to see what we had. When the Police Officers Association is willing to give up 100 officers to make up that money to get the raises, we had to put the fire department, but there's 680 officers into that, which watered down the amount of raise that our officers can get. I think something has to be addressed with that, because that's been holding back our police department. And I certainly think that's something that the unions look at. I certainly think that's something that has to be, because it's not like that in other places. They should negotiate on their own, should be negotiated. So I'm trying to give you solutions here. I'm not trying to cause controversy, but I'm just putting the facts out of what we're up against. When you take a look at even with those raises, we also have another thing that kind of affects us. I look at personnel day in, day out, by shift, what we need, so that we have, that gets fed up on a daily basis. And even if you look at my office, there's a wall where I know where everybody's assigned in this police department, understand where we need people. We've had people that are out sick naturally, days off, vacation. But we have a thing that what we can do that I haven't seen in any city. It's called paid FMLA. And we do have FMLA. We got to make sure we take care of employees, that they have something that's happened to them. We have employee assistance programs. We certainly need to take care of employees. But when we go above and beyond, which I don't want to take away, I think it was well intentioned. But we looked at it in my last city, we said, wow, this is really going to mess up scheduling first responders. And we said, we can't make that commitment, but this city already did. And I think that I'd put better guardrails, if it's something that we're going to keep. Because we can't plan for a person to say, I have stress, and I'm going to take the next 6 weeks off paid. That will blow up the schedule. We can't plan when this person says, I'm going to take 3 days off a month for the next year, and at any time that I need it. So on Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, June commander comes in, and finds out 2 or 3 officers took up paid FMLA. Can't schedule for that. Well intentioned. But that 6 weeks off on top of the vacation you have, when you have regularly scheduled vacation, you have to pick in the beginning of the year, we can do our planning. I think it's something that needs to be looked at. It's something that I've talked about the last administration from the day I walked in. And it's also something that I've already produced to the state before this board, and I want to the interim transition director to the state take a look at this, because this is really hurting us. It's an officer safety issue. When the scheduling is messed up like that, and then we got to scramble, which we will do, we can adjust. We can do that, just like fire department. Get a fire on fire, everybody moves over, we adjust what we have. We can do that. What we certainly shouldn't have. One of the things that I also looked at, where I worked in the police department, is an 11-hour tour. And I know I was talking with the union, we were taking a look at some things, but we do have managerial rights to find out what's best for the police department. And the 11-hour tour will give these officers an extra 30 rec days, same time put more officers on the street, get the same training day, and could possibly give them, depending if they want more days off in a row, every other weekend off. And that would be going for the officers that are in uniform on the street, not the specialized units. When I found in other police departments, the people in specialized units loved that schedule so much, they came out of the specialized units, which created movement for other people to go in. I'm coming from experience, coming from where I've been. These are the suggestions I hope to be working with the board to make sure that we can get enough officers on the street, make sure we balance that in a way, in a very, I would say, a very sensitive, thoughtful way of trying to continue fighting down crime. At the same time, supporting our police officers that are out on the street, specialized units, and also our civilian personnel. We are down 80 spots in the budget sharing versus what with the table. So with that, we've had several police academy classes come in. We've slowed attrition down. It's down possibly just a little over 100 since I showed up in my third year. And it was going down almost 100 every year. So we've slowed it down, hoping we can work on these things. And I think that'll make us competitive because people do want to work with the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. We have a storied history of a brand and legacy of people want to come in and help the people that need us the most. This is the premier police department. And they do the most work, and hopefully they're coming in for that, the brand. And then we probably can do a heck of a lot better if we can get good rates and work on that budget, which is so important to find the ability to get the basis for the officers. And I think that will help out a lot. I'm watching San Mateo, California, get $100,000 signing bonuses. They still can't fill the ranks. Other places are getting $10,000 to $20,000 signing bonuses. People are poaching from each area, and when we train our officers here, they're leaving to other jurisdictions. So I always say, like the Montreal Expos, we'll train everybody, right? Get talented players, and then Yankees and the Cardinals pick them up. And you know what? They're coming back, they're staying, but we can do a lot. And with that, I'll leave. And the other thing we need to do, why we really couldn't move forward on going with 11-hour tours, which I would have continued talking to the Police Officers Association about, is that people sort of has to jump. And if it's some decision that we make, because nothing's worse than undermining a new strategy for a thing that may change. If the pay wasn't right, and I couldn't risk that their pay not being right, because they would have looked at that, and rightfully so, that this thing wasn't the great thing, they wouldn't give it a chance, and they either want to buy. If my pay wasn't right, then I'm not getting a paycheck, supplemental paycheck. So I think those are the things that we need to look at. But we have a lot to be positive about by the direction we're going, and hopefully we can address some of these challenges that are a major issue. And thank you for listening, and thank you for my opening comments for the first time speaking before this board. These are some of the things that I think so questions.
Thank you, Chief. Questions for Chief Tracy on board?
I have one. Thank you for that presentation, also for everything you've done for St. Louis since you got here. Really appreciate that. Even before being appointed to this position, Chief, you know, being a business owner and being in St. Louis, I hear a lot from other business owners, but certainly after this appointment, I get a ton of the business owners and even policemen on the street that always say the same thing. We need more police presence. We need more police presence. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know or that you're not already trying to address. Is there anything we are able to do within the St. Louis Police Department to get, and like I say, please understand, I know that you are already trying to address this because I know you're hearing the same things constantly, but is there anything we are able to do to get more police presence out on the street where they're visual, you know, where they're actually seen, whether it be for major events, whatever. I get, but my phone don't stop with people calling. I don't know, you know, they all think that now that I got this appointment, I can just pick the phone up and make, and that's not how that works. We all know that. But is there anything we are either trying to currently do or that we can do to with what you currently have to work with which I know is the elephant in the room? I get that. But is there anything we're able to do in that regard to get more bodies on the streets with what you have now?
No, we have discretionary overtime. And even when you're at budgeted strength, you have discretion overtime, because even with all the straight time, that could be able to fill events, parades, protests, which everybody loves to do here under the arch. takes a lot of our personnel moving around. I think that we were strategic about that. At the time, we do make sure we use money right in the right places. I will say, even when it comes to the businesses in downtown, crime has gone down throughout the city. It has gone throughout the city. I just talked about the overall citywide. But since 2022, where I've heard those things, we put some of the good strategies in place. We just don't have the omnipresence that people want. And I can try to make that up with overtime. But we're down 58% in crime in downtown since 2022. We're down 56% in downtown west, which is right across the street, Union Station, all the places. Midtown, which has a family, we're down about 30%. And then Central West End, we're down over 50% as well. So those things are not seen unless you see police officers happen. And perception takes a long time to catch up to reality. But people are going to be skeptical if they do see people with mental health issues, addiction issues, homeless. It creates an environment and a perception of disorder. And those are some of the things that, not just in policing, I have to work with other agencies to try to address those issues of people that have mental health and addiction issues. I would try to appeal to the criminal justice system that if we have to make arrests on individuals that have those issues, that the prosecutors and judges, that they actually, on the condition of the release, put some of those individuals and make sure the condition of release is treatment, so they don't go back out and do the same thing. So people always think it's on the police, but I also want help from the rest of the criminal justice system. And we work hand in hand with the mayor's administration and the things that she's doing with her teams. And we have the homeless outreach. I think that's that biggest issue, I think, is the homeless, and you see people out there that have those issues. That actually gives a little bit of looks, makes the city look like it has these disorderly, even if they're not violent. And that's something, an issue that I go to every city. Believe me, this city has its share of homeless, but I've been to other cities and have experienced there. It's out of control. We have it somewhat manageable, but we still have a lot of work to do. I think overtime right now is some of the things that we don't want to rely on, just like when it came to the F3 tornado, the whole city went out tours. And that actually led into more of my 11-hour schedule. We have more officers on the street, but I can actually get more time off. They did get their rec days. And that's not sustainable, but used thoughtfully by the commanders, the majors. I give them the autonomy, certainly with some controls to their major to put the additional people out where we need them. But the bottom line is, we get to that point. My buddy was the chief in Minneapolis, and he budget strengths over 800 services. And they're taking 2-3 hours to get to a postal service, and then not even answering some calls. And then I got to work on the queue. I got to work on what calls we should be taking and not, maybe assess them. I met with the union on personnel. I went on Wednesday night and spoke with them. I did a Q&A with these officers to hear their concerns. I'm thoughtfully looking at these things, but understanding how I have to manage the whole police department and make sure that I can keep everything running to continue to have the success we're having. One thing, giving up one thing to flood one area and upset all the progress that we've had. And I gotta balance those things. And I also have to have that strong conversation that we need police officers.
Right.
We need them. And so for me to try to sugarcoat it, Commissioner, it's very tough for me to do. I'm pretty forthright. Some of the things we're doing, I'll continue to do. And there's not a chief out there saying, give me less cops. Give me as many cops as you can. And if you had a bus with 300 cops, I put them in the academy right now with your blessing and make sure we get them through camp on the street. But it takes 18 months from putting them in now. I have a class in of 22 right now. I mean, we put in 22 just for a smaller class. But I'm going to continue to work on it. And we're going to look at some of these things and how we improve. I'm going to continue to work with the Police Officers Association. If they have some ideas and support together, we pull more people in. I think that's the future.
I have a question.
Yep, please, go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Of your current strength, what percentage is administrative versus actually on the streets patrolling? And are there some considerations or options for you to be able to have some of the administrative officers patrol until such time you can get your strength up?
Yes.
Okay.
Percentage, I can get that.
Okay.
What's your main place where you recruit from?
Well, we have a recruitment. We go on our website. We have billboards last year. You see them all over town at the same time. This foundation was generous enough that we would get, we had the highest amount of people starting to apply. I think our biggest challenge was the all personnel, civil service laws. We're not constricted by that. We have an ability to set the tone on how we're gonna hire people that is not hamstrung by some of the rules that even Commissioner Gray also had to deal with when she was the former personnel. And her and I worked very hard together to try to have an interpretation within the rules that we could make more efficient. That's why we've been able to hire. But we can take this further, and I look forward to moving our own. Right now, we do have Sarah Siki, who is our head of HR, but she's assigned to the city. But she works here in Auburn. I think bringing her on with a long staff, and still we got to do the transition work with Palmer personnel, still helping us with that. But as we make that transition, I don't think we might be able to get those names a lot quicker. But we might be able to start getting them out. One thing we gotta do is change the business model. At the time, Director Gray, now Commissioner Gray, got us the names a heck of a lot quicker. Sarah, who's sitting here, was able to get them in, and then we, with our recruitment team, we call them right out, and we make sure we help them succeed, to get them in that week, so we didn't lose them to other jurisdictions. Because we did that, changed our business model. But they're not gonna wait, they're applying to 11 different police departments, right, whoever calls them first. So we gotta tell them about us, we want you, and we'll bring them in. And granted, they gotta pass with the psychological and the background test and what we're testing the process. But I really believe we have an opportunity here, but it's not, there's not a boss outside. We have a lot of work to do, but I think we have an opportunity.
Mayor Spencer has a question.
I don't have a
Oh,
question, Gene.
sorry.
I just wanted to commend you. I think, I've been the mayor now for 4 months, and I've already been present at 2 graduations of recruitment classes, and that is just phenomenal. The caliber of folks you're bringing in, at least from my perspective, seems very high. The morale, the excitement amongst not just the recruits, but their families are very high. It feels very positive. We launched right after I was elected a commend an officer component to the file a complaint portion of the city's website, and we have already organically seen several commendations come in for policing from the community, which says a lot. Just a quick anecdotal story, but at the last Central Patrol award ceremony, met a young officer who had decided to go to a neighboring police department to make more money, and has already decided to come back because of the morale you're building within the police department and within the patrols is very clear. And I think that says a lot about your leadership and the leadership within the divisions within the police department, and it's helping to build a stronger and more committed police force, which is really showing in the support I'm hearing from the community for the police department. And I think that says a lot for our police department.
Thank you, Mayor. And one point that goes over there on that. We're gonna try to put another class in November. We're not waiting to get a big class, because we'll lose them. So what we're doing, and even in between this time, Sarah and I have worked together, and she's been doing most of the work and working still with the city to try to use some of the resources, but we're waiting, we'll lose them if they wait too. So we're putting academy classes, once we get up to a certain number, we're putting them. And once they pass over, it takes a while to pass all those steps, because you want to make sure it's the right mindset and the person that's going in. We know how much one bad apple can affect the whole nation. And so we gotta make sure we get that right. So we're looking possibly in November for another class, and then after that, we just keep going. You keep going, and you're seeing that. And that officer went to, I think, Maryland Heights, and Young Grass is now in the community. And he absolutely wants to come back, but he also saw the economics of the last 2 raises. And then he has hope for an additional raise if we can find that money within our budget. So thank you.
Lastly, I just want to say on the FMLA piece, I want to thank you and your office for working with the mayor's office. We recognize that the FMLA policy across the board for city employees has been one that has really reduced the manpower capacity across not just the police department, but all of our city departments. And as we work to rectify that, I wanted to thank you for working with our office to make sure that we're in line with how we're going to roll out some some shifts to that to better equip our city departments across the board with the manpower we need to deliver services. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And it's something I think we should be looking at across the board, not just here. in the city.
Thank you. If there's no further comments, Chief, before you step away, you know, as a commission, we're looking at how we can help with retention, recruitment, and compensation. That's a commitment from this board that we need to make as a group. So thank you for your current service and how you've been handling the department. So that's a commitment from us as a, you can hopefully let the troops know that we're here and we're looking at ways to do that. So we'll need some leadership there and some direction. I know you guys work on it this 24/7. So we'll like to hear that out, that, you know, at some point in time. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item agenda. So the board has 7 different agreements we're considering today, and I understand that we have a member of the department here to answer those questions. We will discuss approval of each of these agreements, and then at the end, we will consider resolution to authorize these contracts and approve them, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
And then I think when, so it's Mr. Tim Sullivan that's here
Yeah.
to do that. So if you mind stepping up. Also, Mr. Sullivan, if you have, when you talk about these items, could you just help the commissioners understand the budget impact that each one would make pro or against forward? Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, first one's the Cardinal vehicle use agreement. They're gonna pay us $16.25 an hour to use a car down at a stadium event and it, what's it called?
Mr. Sullivan, would you mind introducing yourself and who you are?
Oh, Tim Sullivan, I'm the compliance officer for the police department.
Okay, thank you.
It's just, the Cardinals are gonna pay us $16.25 an hour to use the vehicle down at games and stadium events and things like that, for a minimum of 5 hours. No cost to the department. It's the standard FEMA rate that, the feds charge.
Very good. Are we going to move to
Did we
approve that agreement or just allow it?
go through them all or
I'll
one
go-
at a
go through
time?
them all. And then
Okay, so he'll go through all of them and then there's one resolution at the end to approve them all.
thank you. Yeah, just thank you.
For the O'Fallon training facility, as everybody knows, the range is a mess, kind of a gas station, and repairs are starting down there. They were started in July. We're gonna use the O'Fallon range. It's gonna cost about $12,000. We're taking out of our budget through, you know, December to get policemen down there to qualify with the rest.
Good. Very good, thank you.
For Aspire Consulting, they come in, they help us with people solve on the human resources side of things. It's a yearly contract we have with them. It runs about $110,000 a year for their part of PeopleSoft, keeping it upgraded.
Is there any change in value on that contract or is it just a renewal?
It's a renewal. It could go up. We did an amendment on it last year. We raised it another $15,000. I think it's just because of how much work they're doing for us.
Okay.
And in IT, they verify all the hours and make sure everything makes sense before they send those up.
Got it.
If I could just make a quick comment on PeopleSoft, one of the things I know that is a key component for recruitment, actually, Commissioner Greg can probably speak better to it. This PeopleSoft upgrade is essential.
Yeah.
It's the first component for HR. Some of the things the chief talked about is hiring and whatnot. This is kind of the ecosystem in which we work to be able to do it. So this is why we have this on this agenda. It's so essential to get done.
Question?
So, just a point of clarification here. So this Aspire is an HR consulting contract. It looks like the total amount is around $270,000. Is that similar to what, is that an additional cost?
It's yearly, like we IT budgeted for the $270,000. They put it in their budget request to us. And we pay out a little bit over the fiscal year, like every 2 weeks, they send us a bill for whatever services and providers.
So this was a contract we had with Aspire or PeopleSoft
With this, with
last
Aspire.
year?
Yes.
It's always been with Aspire. And they just do support work for PeopleSoft as well.
Well, PeopleSoft is a very strange name for,
It's for our HR and
Yes,
type
right.
of
I didn't understand what that was all about. Okay.
But it is really important to HR. And
Is it?
this, yeah, and it was in the budget and it was part of the budget that was prepared and is an essential component of the HR component.
Just to go
If I
back,
may- oh,
go ahead. No,
I was gonna just say for the mayor,
They do though, in the people's lost name.
Mr. Sullivan, PeopleSoft,
For the-
it's a large software company. This is under budget that already, within the budget that's already been proposed. And so
Right, yeah.
Yes.
It's a great system for tracking overtime and looking for fraud and things like that.
For the mayor.
It's been fantastic.
it's just a different vendor other than UKG and HCM on the city
Right,
side.
right, yeah.
So just for clarification to Derek's, in the budget, it's $270,000. What you said, the impact this year was 110.
I misspoke. I didn't have my notes.
Oh, that's okay.
I couldn't-
So it is 270.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
it's not over budget. though, it's
No,
within
no,
budget.
within the budget.
So it's not, okay.
And then, Mr. Sullivan, back to the Cardinal one real quick, that 1625, can you clarify that in terms of like what that impact is to the police department from a revenue standpoint, an estimate?
Well, I think it's gonna be, it's like a break even thing as well.
Okay.
Thinking of it as a vehicle sitting there idle is gonna be 16.25 an hour with the
Got it.
maintenance on it, gasoline and things like that. That's the rate they came up.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, move to Missouri. Go ahead.
For the Missouri Highway and Transportation Grant, that's the motor carrier safety grant. We have 5 officers and a sergeant that works under that, and what they do, they pull over trucks more or less on the highway, their safety checks, make sure that drivers, they're logging their hours and things like that, following what they're doing. And this grant pays for 95% of their operations. We have to buy new vehicles, equipment, things like that. The department has 5% match.
5% match.
Yes, and that's budgeted for also.
Do you have a specific dollar amount or a budgetary dollar amount to kind of help the commissioners out with it, what they think this could be?
It was, I can get it for you, but I want to say it was like $945,000 this year.
Okay.
You mean the overall?
The overall award's like $945,000.
And the
The city's on, we're, the city must
5%.
pay 5% of that as a match.
Okay, yeah, it was 981,400 is what I was able to pull out. And they're gonna pay 51,652.
Yeah.
It was in here, I read it.
Yeah,
in
it's
the-
in there.
Thank you.
Back to the O'Fallon training facility real quick, sorry, I'm jumping around on you. So the $12,000, that would go away once the range is fixed and operational?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's just a one-time
Yeah,
expense?
yeah, and 12,000 is kind of an estimate, we don't know how long it's gonna take.
Got
Okay.
Yountville data sharing agreement, there's no cost to the department at all. All we're doing there is we're giving them stats on violent crime, and they go and they try to figure out what are the trends for these violent crimes, how can we help stop them and things like that.
Does Humsel, do you know if Humsel publishes this data publicly or how's that data shared?
I do not know, it doesn't say in the MOU, it just says we're providing the data.
Got it.
Yeah, I real quick, I did want to make one quick comment. They're only getting data that is public information. This is so we do not have to have a series of sunshine requests repeatedly on a regular basis.
Okay.
We just have a data user agreement, which I thought was great when I looked at this, because we don't need more sunshine requests.
And the last one is the Missouri State Highway Patrol, the HIDA grant. And the Highway Patrol was the intermediary there, and they give us $16,500 a year to rent a couple of undercover cars. Get them through enterprise leasing, the city has a contract that we, to rent those cars from enterprise. Just 2 DEA officers that work in narcotics use those cars. No cost to the department there at all.
Perfect.
Any questions for Mr. Sullivan?
I've got safe neighborhoods, is that not on the agenda, Project Safe Neighborhood? I mean, I gave that guys in your packet, we can, next one.
Project Safe Neighborhood, I don't,
It can,
we'll wait for next.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would just say, as we were putting this agenda together, we had a abbreviated time frame. I appreciate Tim stepping up and giving the memo to report on these contracts. We'll go back after this meeting to kind of refine what information based on the questions you guys asked today. But we just wanted to get some of the contracts, especially PeopleSoft going on. And this is how, this will be a standing agenda item. This is how Mr. Sullivan will come up, provide a memo in it. We'll have the agreements approved and have a chance for you all to ask questions. And I appreciate you coming up here and doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Graville, are we going back and taking a vote on each one of these, or can we adopt?
My understanding, there's a resolution to approve all of them. Oh, one more thing, there's a Title VI policy that is a requirement written by the internal city councilors, written by them, that was then revised by MoDOT. It's related to a grant. Is that correct, Jennifer? Do you know what the grant was?
This is actually, it's related to the grant that we were speaking to.
The HIDTA.
This is the compliance policies that must be adopted in order to receive the grant.
Correct. Is that part of a single resolution? Or is that a separate resolution? Okay, so we have two resolutions to vote on. Okay, there you go, President.
Very good. All right, so go back to the very first one.
Well, no, I think you can approve all the contracts by one motion to approve. One motion to approve the resolution that's in the packet, and then a separate resolution should be in the packet for approval of the grant or the Title VI policy.
Okay, we'll make a motion to adopt a policy for
Title VI
Title
policy.
VI policy.
Adopt the policy for Title VI.
Is there a second?
Second,
I'll second.
second, Commissioner Brown. Any discussion?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Commissioner Gray,
Aye.
Commissioner McVeigh,
Aye.
Commissioner Ortega,
Aye.
Commissioner Mayor Spencer,
Aye.
Commissioner Saraceno.
Aye.
That resolution is approved. And then we have one resolution to adopt all of those agreements.
Make that motion to adopt all the agreements.
Second.
Any discussion?
Call for a vote.
Commissioner Saraceno,
Aye.
Commissioner Gray,
Aye.
Commissioner Ortega,
Aye.
Commissioner McVeigh,
Aye.
Mayor Spencer.
Good.
We're good.
Second,
Yeah.
okay. Announcements, we're going to make an announcement first regarding a public forum comments meeting. We are going to adopt a plan to have a public forum meeting. We'll adopt a policy of how that will run. We will do that on our first September meeting of September 3rd, I think the date is. We are tentatively set for a second meeting for public forum in September. That would be the 17th. I'm going by the correct. It's
That's correct, yeah.
third
And
Wednesday.
this will be a meeting, at least as far as it's anticipated right now. The meeting will be entirely dedicated to public comment and public forum.
So for that purpose.
That is the 17th.
Correct. I understand that for the commissioners that it's kind of a tight turnaround. But we feel that discussing this, that after going through a lengthy board meeting, it would be better to give proper due time specifically for public forum comment. So that was the recommendation. That was the reasoning behind that, to be a separate just meeting. Okay. I'll open the.
Do we know what time that will be?
We haven't set that, but that will be.
We'll get that, we'll have that all ready for the September meeting, and we'll.
We'll try to get
that
that
out.
out at least prior to our September meeting
Yeah.
for scheduling purposes in respect to everybody's schedule. So bless you.
Bless you.
If this time if this time works well for the rest of the commissioners, that would be great. If we need to push it back an hour in respect to the public getting in, we can do that too. So and it would probably also, we'll have to check with the department and how the rooms, if that's available, okay? So
It's not voted on yet. Jennifer pointed out to me, we also need a vote to adopt the bylaws resolution.
It's for record keeping purposes.
Yes, we've adopted the bylaws, but we need the resolution for our organizational record keeping purposes to adopt the resolution approving the bylaws.
We need to
Yeah, to adopt the resolution, adopt the bylaws.
adopt the bylaws.
Thank you.
Make that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Ortega, second for anyone?
I'll second.
Second, Commissioner Brown. Roll call vote. Any discussion on that? None? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Serafino,
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins Gray,
Aye.
Commissioner Ortega,
Aye.
Commissioner McVeigh,
Aye.
Commissioner Spencer, or Mayor Spencer.
Alright.
Okay, can we move forward here? All right. Do we have any further announcements from the board attorney, our transition director? Any of the commissioners? There are no further announcements. I'll move to our next agenda item, a vote to enter into executive session. Vote to enter into,
I make a motion that we move into executive session.
thank you.
If we can, I want to make sure, can we say for the purposes of RSMO
Yeah.
610.0?
For the purposes of RSMO 610-021.
610.021 subsection one,
Subsection 1,
610.021 subsection 2.
2, and RSMO 6101.021 subsection 13.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Gray, a second.
I'll second.
Commissioner Ortega. Okay, it's moving. Is there no further discussion? We take a roll call vote. Motion.
Commissioner McVeigh?
Session.
Aye.
Commissioner or Mayor Spencer,
Alright.
Commissioner Ortega. Aye. Commissioner Serafino,
Aye.
and did I already call you Commissioner Gray? Commissioner Gray.
No.
Commissioner Gray.
Aye.
Pretty good.
Move for adjournment. Thank you to everyone in attendance.
Are we adjourning or are we going to discuss?
We're adjourning into the executive session.
Executive session.
So thank you to everyone in attendance. If the Commissioners have any objection to adjourn the meeting? We'll now adjourn a public meeting and go into closed meeting. We are adjourned.